Hello and a big welcome to the channel. I'm the Motorsport Madman and this is the Thursday night preview show ahead of the 2022 Miami Grand Prix. If you are new to the channel, if you are a Formula 1 fan, then please do consider subscribing because I will be live for every single practice session, qualifying session and race in the Formula 1 World Championship. And also please do show your support by hitting that like button because I'm just getting the channel going and any bit of interaction is absolutely crucial. So big up to anybody watching this. It's the early days and we are going for it. So yes, who's in the chat? We got Matty and Ryan Tune. How are we doing, guys? Right, I'm going to jump straight into it. So Thursday night preview shows going to be before every single race. The Thursday night before every single Grand Prix, and they're split into 3 sections if you've not seen one before. News, as you can see here, news, rundown, predictions, boom, 3 sections. So before we get in to any of the news and the rundown and predictions, I'm going to put on now, this will be my schedule. This will be my live stream schedule for this weekend. So because we're in America, because it's the first ever Miami Grand Prix in the United States, it is a late evening one this weekend in the UK. So Friday practice 1, I'll be live for that at 7:30 tomorrow night. Practice 2, late driller. We have got 10:30 on Friday night for practice 2. I'll be live for both of them. It's a brand new circuit. I don't know if I do all the practice sessions for all the Grand Prix, but because it's a brand new circuit, I don't even properly know the layout. I don't properly understand how the cars are going to perform around it. Because it's a brand new event and there's massive hype, I'll do all the practice sessions. Then Saturday 6 p.m. practice 3 again. 6 p.m. for that one, and then qualifying, we get into the more serious action then on Saturday night at 10 to 9 for qualifying at 9 p.m. Yes, Ernesto, let me sort you out, Ernesto. We're gonna mod you up, lad, but I have to log in a weird way, but I'll sort you in a minute, Ernesto. Yes, so yeah, 10 to 9 for qualifying at 9 p.m. and then the Grand Prix itself, a weird one. It'll start at 8:30, the Grand Prix, which they always start on the hour. They've always started on the hour. So why they're going for a 8:30 start instead of an 8 o'clock start or a 9 o'clock start, I don't know. I think there's going to be more of a show around the grid and like the pre-grid, like the parade and the national anthem and all the the stuff that comes just before the race. I think it's going to be extended and I think there's going to be new things introduced. So they've gone for 8:30 race start. I'll be on 10 minutes before that. So that is my schedule for the weekend. Right then, lads, let's get into the news. There's not a hell of a lot of news these last couple of weeks, but there is 1 or 2 things. So let's jump into the big news, right? And this I feel this is a little bit of a clickbait one, right? Because everybody's reporting, right, that Audi and Porsche are coming into Formula 1 in 2026. And yeah, while that's strictly true in the way you say it, Audi and Porsche entering Formula 1 in 2026, yeah. But what do you think when you hear that? You think it's their own team. There'll be an Audi team. There'll be a Porsche team. I would doubt that. When you read the articles properly and when you look into it, what is more likely going to be? Now, I'm not saying, Porsche could turn around, the VW group could turn around and say, no, another 12 months from now, they could say, no, we're entering our own fully fledged team in 26. We're not, but my bets would be on that Porsche will team up with Red Bull, and it'll be Red Bull Porsche, or Porsche Red Bull, whatever you want to say, and it'll be Red Bull manufacturer Porsche engines. So I would doubt they're going to come into Formula 1 with their own team. You've got to pump hundreds of millions in per year to even stand a chance of being competitive. Now, they can turn around and say, we'll do it, but I would doubt it. The same with Audi. Audi are reporting the reports are with Audi is they try to team up with McLaren, and that makes sense. You know, it makes sense for them to team up with an already established successful team rather than start a team from scratch. I mean, when was the last time we saw a new team come into Formula One? It's Haas in 2016, I think, was the last new team. We got an influx of new teams in 2010. I think there was 3 new teams in 2010. Where are they now? Nowhere. We had Caterham, Marussia, which turned into... No, it was Virgin Racing turned into Marussia. Yeah, Caterham, Virgin Racing, and HRT. None of them are there. It takes a hell of a lot of a hell of a lot of funds and a hell of a lot of backing, and you've got to be successful off the bat. So I would doubt they'll come in. I would love... The holy grail of Formula 1 is to have more teams. Like a team entering, like there's like Andretti might enter a team, and that is the holy grail, a brand new team. But are Porsche and Audi going to enter as full teams? I doubt it. They're going to be engine suppliers. That'll be my bet. Can change, but that'll be my bet. Are we going? Yes, Sean. And going in F1 with your own team, yeah, 160 mil a year, Sean. 160 million a year base input, and then if you want to be winning championships, mate, a lot more than that. You're looking at 320 million a season. But you go for it if you want, lad. Didn't get the notification that I went live. Oh, that sucks. I'll have to, yeah. We'll see what we can do about it. Right, so that's that first little bit of news. Well, that's supposedly big news. I don't think it's as big a news as what people are trying to make out. Other little bits of news. Mercedes coming with a big upgrade. You can see here the front wing. You see how it's like... I mean, this is not very technical, but you see how the edge of the front wing flap has gone really wavy. That's a brand new introduction. Mercedes are going to be bringing upgrades heavy. They're going to be, because they're so far behind, they're going to be bringing upgrades to virtually every single race, I'd say. Especially the races where you've got a 2-week gap between the race. Bam, they're going to turn up with another graft of upgrades. Until they catch up, they'll catch up. By the end of the year, Mercedes will caught up. Another team that's pushing is Alpine. They're going to be coming with a brand new floor. The floor is arguably the most important part of the car in 2022. With the ground effect and everything, the floor is a major upgrade. Alpine coming with a new floor, so they could upset the apple cart. Can they get on Red Bull pace? Ferrari pace remains to be seen. But yeah, so there's 2 teams coming. I'm sure a lot of most teams will be coming with little upgrade packages, but I think the biggest upgrade packages are the Mercedes and the Alpine. So let's move on now. Miami. We've got some pictures here, courtesy of racefans.net, and I'm shouting you out, racefans.net, so don't see this and ban me and sling me off. I love your website. We've got the pictures for your website, yes. So we've got a few pictures now. What the track goes around the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It's not in the city centre, but it is very nice. So, but this is a bit of a joke. This, right? They've done. I don't know if any of you have heard about this, right? They've made a fake harbour. Look at this. They've had yachts bought in. Like, this is just so cringe, man. They've had yachts bought in, and then because they're in the middle of the track, like there's no link to the sea, like. So they've had to just do this fake harbour like they're trying to be Monaco, but it's just cringe, man. So this is just like a marble. Well, it's not even a marble floor. It's literally stickers. It's literally stickers to make it look like water. So that when you see it on TV and all that, it looks like, oh, there's a harbour. Oh, mate, it's just cringe. It's just, mate, they are trying too hard to be Monaco. Like, they got fake harbours in the thing, man. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, another little picture. Looks very narrow there. I've not really seen much of this track. I've seen a little, like, there's a video game thing called Assetto Corsa, and they've already done a mod where you can do an onboard lap, but we'll see the track properly tomorrow. But that looks narrow through that tunnel there. Yeah, a little bit of a weather update. This is as exciting as it gets, isn't it? Sun. But there is, I was reading up, there is a chance of isolated showers on the Sunday. Yeah, a wet Miami Grand Prix on a brand new circuit that no one's ever driven round. Yeah, that would be the driller. But you know it's going to be. It's going to be dry, innit? It's going to be dry. Now, last bit of news is a sad one. You know, it is a sad one. F1 legend Tony Brooks has sadly passed away at the age of 90. He is a legend in the game, Tony Brooks. He was racing in the 1950s. Now, if anyone doesn't know, the Formula One World Championship started in 1950, and Tony Brooks was around back in them days. So we just got a few little bits of stats here. So yeah, he raced in F1 between 52 and 61. 6 Grand Prix victories, which it doesn't sound a lot, 6 Grand Prix victories, but when you're talking seasons of 8 Grand Prix, 6 wins is actually, his winning percentage is like 38%. So, you know, there's not many Grand Prix back then. Absolute legend in the game. Drove for Vanwall, drove for Ferrari. You know, he was lead driver for Ferrari. You know, one of the absolute greats of Formula One. He was never world champion, but he was racing at a time with Ascari, you know, Fangio. Yeah, he was racing against Fangio, Ascari, and Sterling Moss. He was in the company of legends, and he has sadly passed away this week at age 90. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of the news. He was an absolute legend. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. So let's get into the rundown of team by team. Here we go. A little bit of a rundown heading into the Miami Grand Prix. How's everyone doing so far in the season? That sort of thing. So we'll go in reverse Constructors' Championship order. So we start off at the bottom, move our way up the grid. So in 10th place with only 1 point so far is Williams. Now let's have a look at the start of the season they've had. We've got Alexander Albon's stats on my, as you're looking at it, it's on your left. And then Nicholas Latifi's stats on the right. I'll have that for every single team. So Albon 17th in the championship with 1 point. He just missed out on points in Imola. Got the point in Australia with that crazy strategy where he didn't pit till the final lap. But Nicholas Latifi on the other side of the garage not had a good start to the season, mate. 3 16th places in the DNF. Williams struggling. You know, are they going to get a hell of a lot of points this season? I don't know. Maybe that 10th place in Australia might be the only point they get this season, but they'll be hoping for better than that. Albon, a good start to the season. Latifi needs to improve, man. Right, let's move to 9th place at the moment. Aston Martin. Let me just click off that to get there so I can see it. Yeah, so Aston Martin sitting on 5 points. All 5 points were scored in Imola after Sebastian Vettel missed the first 2 races. Comes back in Australia and unfortunately crashes out. So he had a horrible first 3 races, but bags an 8th place in Imola. Aston Martin's season has finally begun in round 4. Can they build on that in round 5 this weekend at Miami? Lance Stroll teetering on the edge of points. Did get that 10th place in Imola, bagging the team all 5 points in Imola. Finally off the mark. Aston Martin, very disappointing start to the season. I was reading an article about Aston Martin actually that they're planning to put a lot of upgrades. I mean, everyone's planning to put upgrades on, but they're planning to really move up the grid. By the end of the season, I don't think they'll be in 9th in the Constructors, put it that way. I think they're going to come heavy with the upgrades. They've got the funding, they've got the infrastructure. Aston Martin will come back. 8th place at the minute then, going into round 5 is Haas. Unfortunate for Mick Schumacher, he's not scored any points yet. When does unfortunate start to become that he's not performing very well? He's been unlucky, Mick Schumacher, and I'm a big fan, but he's got to start getting in the points now. He's got to start getting in the points, young Mick. Yeah, and 11th. He didn't start in Saudi Arabia because he had a massive crash in qualifying. Then 13th in Australia, 17th in Imola. After he spun at the start, Mick Schumacher spun coming out of the first chicane on the first lap, and then he was virtually at the back then for the rest of the race. And unfortunate, but how long can you be? Is it just unfortunate? You've got to start turning it around now, Mick Schumacher. On the other hand, Kevin Magnussen, I probably say this every time, but he didn't even know he was going to be racing in Formula 1 2 weeks before the season started. What a comeback. A 5th, a 9th, 14th in Australia, not great. Then back in the points in Imola. 2 9th places and a 5th in the first 4 races for Kevin Magnussen. It's a heroic return so far. So, all power to him. He'll be looking to push on, get more points. You know, can Haas keep up the development race? Because this season is a big, big development race. And can Haas keep up? Because they're going to have lost a load of funds for reasons that I'm not even going to mention. But they've lost a lot of funds. If you know, you know. And can they keep up development-wise with the other midfield runners? We'll wait and see. I hope they can, because I love an underdog. And you know I've got the Haas jumper and all that. I rep past me. Anyway, here we go. Next up, AlphaTauri, 7th place at the minute. A bit of an anonymous start to the season. In fact, I'd say a little bit worse than anonymous. I'd say a bit of a bad start to the season. But Yuki Tsunoda pulled off a great drive in Imola. You know, up to 7th, but he was battling for 6th and 5th, and Yuki Tsunoda had a great race in Imola. Unfortunate for Pierre Gasly that he got stuck in the train. I think Gasly and Hamilton were both stuck behind Albon, weren't they? I know that Hamilton was stuck behind Gasly, and I think Gasly was stuck behind Albon for virtually the whole race. So Gasly stuck in 12th for virtually the entire Grand Prix. Yeah, they're not on the pace that they had last year. You know, last year, Gasly was bagging top 6, you know, more often than not. He was definitely top 8 most weekends. Not able to pull those kind of results out of the bag this season so far. They'll be obviously looking to build on that and get back to the form they had last year. And Gasly certainly. But Tsunoda coming on. Tsunoda's coming on now. You know, he had a bit of a rocky start, but he's coming on his Yuki. His channel got slung. Oh, he's not faded, has he? Right. Anyway, here we go. Alpine. 6th at the moment with 22 points. But Fernando Alonso only 2 points. All the points being scored by Esteban Ocon, the young French driver. I think he's probably about 24, something like that. Yeah, Esteban Ocon having a mint start to the season. Other than Imola, it didn't really go his way. I think he was stuck in the train of flipping the Albon Gasly Hamilton train in Imola, where you just stuck and he couldn't get past. And despite DRS and despite all the rest of it, Imola's a narrow track. You know, they got stuck in the DRS train, and that was the end of it. But other than that, Ocon's had a great start to the season. 7th in Bahrain, 6th in Saudi Arabia, 7th in Australia, bagging 20 points. But yeah, Fernando Alonso, his season just hasn't seemed to have got started yet. He could have had a mega result in Australia. He was purple in sector 1 and 2 in Australia qualifying. He could have put that car on the front row, but something went wrong. I can't even remember now. It was something like a hydraulic issue, and he crashed. And it could have been, you know, I'm waiting for Alonso, there'll be a spark, and Alonso will produce something magic, you know. Alonso will produce something magic, but not yet. He's had a bit of a shocker. He got damage to his side pod actually in Imola. He got damage. I don't know if it's from Mick Schumacher sliding into him at the start, but he got damage. Unfortunate again, but go on, Fernando. Oh, Fernando's a good driver. Don't write him off yet. He's still got more to give. But yeah, Up to 5th placed Alfa Romeo at the moment, Denver's favourite team. It's probably the only one who knows. Yeah, his favourite team. Valtteri Bottas. What a start to the season. I tell you what, he's been dropped from Mercedes. You're thinking, his career's just going to peter out. He's just going to, go to the back of the grid. Yeah, he's still in Formula. None of it. He's all the better for it. He's all the better. In fact, he's battling the Mercedes. The Mercedes is, this car, this Alfa Romeo, is probably better than the Mercedes. Mercedes have pulled out some mad results considering the pace of their car. Seriously. But yeah, Mercedes will be bringing big upgrades, so they'll outdevelop Alfa Romeo. But they've had a great start to the season. Even rookie Zhou Guanyu, even he's picked up a point. So he'll be looking to build that. He's got to be starting to get more points now. He's had his first 4 races in the bag now. Zhou Guanyu. Let's kick on, because on the other side of the garage, Valtteri Bottas with a 6th, a DNF in Saudi Arabia. I can't remember what happened there, but 8th in Australia, 5th in Imola. What a race! What a race for Valtteri Bottas. He's all the better having left Mercedes. The best thing he's ever done. Big up Valtteri Bottas. So now we move on to 4th place at the moment. McLaren on 46 points. And look again, the big contrast between the teammates. Lando Norris 35 points. Ricciardo only 11. Not the start of the season Ricciardo would have wanted. Can he get it back on track in Miami? The car, but McLaren is certainly the most improved team from the first race to round 4. In Bahrain, I mean, look at the results in Bahrain, 14th and 15th. I think for most of that race, it was like 18th and 19th. And then look at the difference. Then you got Saudi Arabia, Lando bags a 7th. Then look at Australia, 5th and 6th in Australia. So in the space of a month, they've gone from the back to nearly the front. And then Lando Norris bags a podium in Imola. What a drive. And I think he got a podium there last year. That is Lando's track. What a race. Can't say the same for Daniel Ricciardo. He hit, and it was his fault. He punted off Carlos Sainz in turn 1 in Imola. Virtually ended his race. Yeah, he carried on. He probably had a bit of damage. Wasn't on the pace. I probably had the wrong strategy on top of it all. Probably had the wrong strategy and virtually come home dead last. I feel for Daniel Ricciardo because I know he's a good driver, man. I know he's a race winner. I think he's won somewhere in the region 6 to 8 races, so something like that. He's a race winner, Daniel Ricciardo. He's a championship. He should have been a championship contender in 2018. And I really feel for him. He's going through a bit of a tough patch, and I hope he can get out of it, because he is one of the best drivers on the grid, and the results are not reflecting that at the moment. Right then, moving on to currently 3rd place Mercedes with 77 points. With George Russell pulling out. This is the most consistent performance. Look at this. A 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th for George Russell in a car that's a midfield, bouncing down the straight. Absolutely horrendous. Look at Lewis's result. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton has had a lucky podium in round 1, followed by a 10th, 4th, great result in Australia, a 13th in Imola, stuck behind Gasly for the entire race. I think Lewis has been knocked out in Q1. He's been all over the place. And George Russell knocking out the park, yet to finish outside the top 5 in a car that shouldn't be in the top 5 up till now. I mean, they're going to turn it around, and you're going to see my predictions. I've gone pretty wild with the predictions we'll be coming to in a minute. But yeah, I think Mercedes turn it around, and I think they turn it around quickly, to be honest with you. But yes, George Russell, a fantastic start to his Mercedes career. He couldn't ask for more than that. I mean, obviously, he was probably coming to this team thinking, I'm going to fight for championship straight off the bat. Bang, I'm going to be in the championship fight. Yeah, that's not happened, but he's not done himself any disservice with these results. He's done the absolute maximum of what he can get out of that machinery, and that's all he can do, is get the absolute maximum And look at him. He's got 49 points. Lewis Hamilton 28. He's got double the amount of points as probably the greatest driver of all time. You can't ask for more than that, can you? Keep going, George. He's been doing bits, Simon. Yeah, he's been doing bits. Lewis is bottled. He's not bottled it yet. You can't write him off. I'm predicting something mad for Lewis this weekend. Right, anyway. Red Bull, second in the championship. I think this might be the fastest car in Formula 1. I said this a couple of weeks ago, I think Ferrari, because from where they've come from and because people love Ferrari, I think they've been given a little bit too much credit, and people think that the Ferrari is the dominant car and Leclerc's going to dominate the championship. And yeah, Leclerc's had a great start to the season, but I think this team is going to have something to say about this championship. I think this is the fastest car. I mean, it might be proved wrong. You could come back to this and it'd be Ferrari 1-2 and they dominate the championship and the world champions by round 16. But I don't think so. I think this team's rapid. And once they sort out the reliability issues that they had in the first couple of races, they'll be absolutely steaming along. Yeah, currently second on 113 points. Verstappen up to second in the championship now. Look at his start to the season. DNF first. It's like, if you finish the race, you win it. Just finish the races then. Sounds simple, but if he's in the race, is he going to be lower than second? If he finishes. In fact, I've seen a chart of Max Verstappen's, when he's finished the race, this is. When he's finished the race in the last 3 seasons. It's literally just a sea of wins and P2s. If you look at the last 3 seasons, I think he's had like 1 P6 and 1 P9. And every other race that he's finished in the last 2 or 3 years, he's been first or second. Unbelievable stats, man. And then you got Sergio Perez. He's doing well. He's doing everything what Red Bull want their second driver to do. Keeping Max honest. Getting good points for the team, because Red Bull had 2 or 3 years where Max would win or Max would be in contention for the win, and then the teammate finished P8, P12, P9. Like, what are you doing? If Max is winning the race, you've got to be up there with him, second, third. Red Bull have now found the rear gunner that they've been looking for about 3 or 4 years. So Perez will probably get a new contract soon. Great second driver and support for Max, as you saw at the end of last year. They're a good team. They'll have something to say about this championship. Don't count them out by any means. But currently leading the championship on 124 points is Ferrari. What a start to the season they've had. Even though there was a little hiccup with Leclerc, he did spin off and hit the barriers in the closing stages of Imola, but he'll be back to prove a point again in Miami and consolidate his championship lead. He's on 86 points. First, second, first, sixth in the first 4 races. It's a pretty mega start to the season, despite the little slip up in Imola. Mega start to the season from Charles Leclerc. Probably the championship favourite. Many people probably say this Ferrari is the best on the grid, and Leclerc's probably the best driver on the grid. I think Red Bull will push them every single inch of every single race. Yes, Calvin, how are we doing? See, it's been very close. Yeah. I think it'll go down to the wire between Red Bull and Ferrari. And do you know what? I think Mercedes will affect the championship, because what's going to happen is they're going to be too many points behind, but they're going to affect the outcome of the championship, because towards the end of the season, Mercedes are going to be in the hunt for wins. And they're going to interrupt the Red Bull Ferrari championship fight, because you're going to get Mercedes nicking wins and nicking podiums off the Ferraris and Red Bulls, and it's going to cause the last third of the season is going to be really good. When Mercedes get back in it, the Mercedes will be too late to be in the championship fight, but they'll upset a few. But yeah, Charles Leclerc with a mega start to the season. But on the other side of the garage, Mr. Carlos Sainz Jr., he's not gone his way at all. Second and third, yeah, that's decent. But when your teammate's winning, you want to be picking up a win. But then back-to-back DNFs. Unfortunately, the one in Imola wasn't his fault. Like I said, Daniel Ricciardo punting him off in turn 1. The one in Australia, though, I think he had some sort of problem in quali in Australia. Ends up starting 10th, down to 14th, and then spins off, trying too hard, spins off, beaches it in the gravel. Carlos Sainz has been beached in the gravel twice in the last 2 races. Horrendous luck. So yeah, he needs to turn it around, Carlos Sainz, and I think he will turn it around, which leads me on to the final part of this show. After rambling on about all the teams, but we'll get through it. So that is the form of the teams heading into the Miami Grand Prix. Now, the final part of the show, the Madman predictions. This is not just predictions. This is the Madman predictions. Because if I just predict Ferrari 1-2, Red Bull 3-4, Mercedes 5-6, McLaren 7-8, nah, none of that. That's none of that. Let's predict something interesting and then see how near we get. So I'm going P10, Daniel Ricciardo. Scrapes a point. McLaren are improving. Certainly since the first race, McLaren are much more competitive than they were at the start of the season. But Ricciardo's struggling a bit. I don't think he'll get a handful of points. I can't see him getting like top 6 or anything like that. I've put him P10, scrapes a point, just behind rookie Zhou Guanyu. I think he picks up a couple of points. I think that Alfa Romeo's rapid. The Alfa Romeo's quick, and rookie or not, Zhou Guanyu's proven to be pretty decent, and I think he picks up another couple of points. He's got 1 point so far. He's been pretty lucky. I think he's had a couple of 11th place finishes in the first 4 races. I think P9 for Zhou Guanyu. P8, I put Fernando Alonso for Alpine. Slight improvement for Fernando Alonso. Gets a few points on the board, but not up there with his teammate. I have got just ahead of Alonso in P7. I've put Lando Norris. So McLaren 7th and 10th I've predicted. Not as good as Imola for Lando Norris, but is he going to be bagging multiple podiums this year? Maybe. But I think more likely they'll find themselves averaging in some sort of position like this. 6th, 7th, 5th, things like that. So put Norris 7th, Ocon P6. So both Alpines and both McLarens in the points is what I'm predicting. Another strong race from Ocon. I think he's had a couple of 6th places and a 7th, something like that. Then Mr. Consistent, George Russell, I've put in 5th. Mr. Consistent, not finished outside the top 5. Why is he going to finish outside the top 5 now? Don't see it. Then the absolute boss man, Valtteri Bottas, in the Alfa Romeo, P4 I've put him. P4, I think this might be his best race so far. I think the Alfa Romeo, I've just got a feeling it's just going to be rapid, and Bottas is going to be right up there at the sharp end. Who's going on the podium then? Bottas just missing out on the podium. Bear in mind, these are madman predictions, you know what I mean? Here we go. Sainz, P3. Sainz back on the podium in P3. Season back on track for Carlos Sainz. But he needs the win. I think he'll end up back on the podium. But here's a bit of a mad one. I'm going Lewis Hamilton P2. I think Lewis will pull a madness out of the bag. Now, he might not. He might end up, as a caveat, he might end up qualifying P12 and finishing 9th. Do you know what I mean? That's more likely. But something tells me, right, he loves them. He loves the US. Mercedes are going to be bringing big upgrades here. And I see a bit of contact between the championship contenders and Lewis taking full advantage. I think this is the first race of this season where Lewis wakes up and reminds everyone. Because the first 3-4 races, yeah, Lewis has been on a back burner. All the cameras have been on Leclerc, Verstappen. I said it the other week, I feel like the spotlight is moving away from Lewis now. The spotlight of this sport now is shifting. Is shifting onto Leclerc and Verstappen. And I think this is the weekend where Lewis Hamilton reminds everyone, I'm a 7-time world champion. I can pull it out of the bag. I might be completely wrong, but I've got to go a bit of a madman prediction, haven't I? And I've gone Sergio Perez for the win, which means, where's Leclerc and Verstappen? Where's Leclerc and Verstappen? I think they have contact. We've had a clean first 4 races between them. I think round 5 is where it gets juicy. Round 5, contact. Neither of them finish. Leclerc and Verstappen, bit of drama. Give Sergio Perez the win. I think it'd be his 3rd win for Perez. 3rd or 4th. He's not had more than 4. I think Sergio Perez for the win. Hamilton pulling a madness out of the bag. P2. Sainz P3. I could be completely wrong. It'd be Verstappen, Leclerc and Sainz, won't it? But you know how we go. There's no point in predicting something boring. I might as well go for it. So I'm going to say Verstappen gets the pole, but as a drama with Leclerc, gives Perez the win. Hamilton pulls a madness out of the bag. Sainz on the podium. And that's about it, guys. Like I say, boom, schedule. That's the schedule for this weekend. I can't believe I've done 37.5 minutes rambling about. Jeepers. 37.5 minutes. I'll manage that. Right. That is about it. Join me tomorrow for FP1 and FP2. I won't do practice every single weekend, but it's a brand new circuit and a brand new event. So I'll jump on the practice sessions. Keep the chat going. You got to get in the chat for me in practice. Jessica, Max Verstappen's a main man. Yeah, he is a main man. He probably will win. He'd probably be odds on to win. But I'm just predicting a little bit of drama. Yeah, I'm predicting a little bit of contact. But yeah, that'll be my live streams this weekend. So join me tomorrow night. But until then, right, I am off. Peace, guys. Thanks for coming in and listen. You know what I mean? Let's get this channel off the ground. Drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're into Formula 1. And let's get on it. Peace out, guys. See you next time.